he generated. But again, it's not something that I've consistently seen him be super strong on. But we are into that champion select, Flash Wolves versus H2K. Flash Wolves, like you said, have chosen blue side crumbs here. We have seen teams who have taken the faster game, you know, often prioritize that red side, but maybe this is leaning towards Jhin being a first pick priority if Varus doesn't get banned.
It's likely it's going to be Jhin again, but the Malzahar being a very good pick. They struggled so much in game one. They want to get rid of it. Maybe put Che away in something a little bit more uncomfortable. Even though Nautilus was relatively useful, it's not the greatest support right now.
No, got a final ban coming out here from Flash Wolves. Varus actually locked into second rotation of ban here by H2K. Now, you would think that if you're not banning LeBlanc here, you would have to ban LeBlanc finally. Looks like Jhin is actually banned by Flash Wolves themselves.
Now, this is actually very interesting because Jace is still open, LeBlanc is still open, Camille is still open. Again, we didn't see any priority on the Camille in game two, but... Oh, okay,
yeah, you can't let Maple get LeBlanc.
But now also Varus is open as well, so
Sorry,
if...
Varus is banned second.
Oh yeah, my apologies. But this does mean that the Flash Wolves must go for a Jace priority. Like, they have to, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It really is a top pick. Unless you have some crazy counter pick like what we saw in G2's game where they picked the Ahri into it, I don't think that the Jace will be passed up here.
Yes,
wow.
It gets passed up. Gets passed up for the Ashe, and we've seen what Forbiven can do with the Jace. You know, we saw him dominate in his game with it. Do you think that, unless that you're thinking Flash Wolves have got something in mind for the Jace?
Here's the thing. The theme of game one and game two has come down to who can control the initiation, who is in charge of setting the plays. And if you were to take the Jace and give up the Ashe, you would be conceding the ability to make plays with the remaining AD carries. So taking the Ashe right away means that you have the hardest engage in the game right now, because Ashe or Sivir or Ezreal would be the remaining ADs for any engage.
And the fascinating thing about Jace is that he can be flexed both top and mid, which doesn't mean that you have to have Febiven play him. But one thing that we're yet to see come out from Odoamne is that Rumble pick. Yes. Remember that it has been left available to him. He hasn't brought it out yet, and it may very well be exactly what H2K need if they want to go for a team-fighting comp.
And actually, it would be beautiful here, not only against the immobile Ashe, but in combination with Jace. This is the team comp that we've seen go as far back as Season 2 Worlds, where Jace throws out the Shock Blast, immediately you lay the Equalizer on top, and you can basically 100-0 any squishy, aka Ashe.
Caitlyn is the AD carry of choice here for Nuclear. Your thoughts, gentlemen, as obviously Sivir and Ezreal passed up. We haven't seen Ezreal this tournament yet, I believe, and you're going to see a response in terms of Syndra. But this Caitlyn is intriguing. You know, we've seen a couple of Caitlyns this tournament.
It's mainly used as a match against the Ashe. They are equal in terms of range. You can have the same sort of push power. Against a Karma, you may very well struggle, but when you look into the fact that there's still Zyra available for the side of H2K, they should be able to match in terms of push power in the bottom lane, but then it gives the freedom for Flash Wolves to start pinching that mid.
And while Zyra is one of Che's most picked champions, I think that it just isn't going to feel too right now because it would really make the composition be all about that siege, all about the poke. And Flash Wolves have already picked plenty of engage. You've got the Syndra, you've got the Ashe, the Karma to really dance around those skill shots and look for a tether, look for a good engage onto any frontline champion.
Tahm Kench is open, right? You know, I mean, we have seen Tahm Kench here and there. It looks like Nami's going to be the support of choice here, which combos well with Caitlyn in lane. I mean, you do get a slight increase in your harassment.
It's great for disengage. It's also great picking power, and again, you're also picking it for lane. Sustain is naturally very good into Karma, given the amount of poke that she throws out, and it's going to better set up for sieges for H2K.
However, the Ashe is a great matchup into the Caitlyn. She is fantastic at this, and they have way more pushing power in the bottom lane when you count the Q from Karma, you count the volley from Ashe, her ability to just clear those minion waves and open up anything in the bottom side of the map leads me to believe that the Flash Wolves might be looking at something around the bottom lane. Last game, we saw them try a crazy dive at level 3. They're no strangers to attempting ballsy plays in the bottom side, and I think that's what they're going for here.
Elise could be great for the Flash Wolves, thinking about it, if that is the direction that they want to head towards. Fascinating how you've actually got these respect bans coming out from both teams as well. The Echo centered towards MMD, I think he was a big reason as to why it was so difficult for H2K to get a lot of their fights because of how slippery he was, but as well as that, the Ivan actually coming out towards Jankos as well.
And the Ivan really stops the comp that H2K has from being a full-on siege. When you put that Brushmaker right in the middle of the lane, it becomes so obnoxious to see if you can engage. You don't know where the shock blasts are coming or when they are coming out, and so you really hesitate in looking for an engage in that regard. So I like the ban. You got to respect that you struggled tremendously against it in game 2, so get rid of it.
Maokai, the ban for H2K, and actually Flash Wolves banned the Elise themselves. in the fear potentially that H2K might pick that up on this rotation. Remember, the picks that we have left, we expect to be the top and jungler for both sides, so we're waiting for those. H2K have the first of the litter, though. What do you think they would go for?
So we're missing arguably top mid and jungle for H2K. And, well, I mean, if you want to go for something a little bit more scaling, I guess you'd go for the Grave. I don't know how I feel about the Graves. I mean, if it is a Jace mid, Graves is a little bit tanky. He does help you take down those towers. Again, you are building towards that siege comp.
Yeah.
But I feel like you're sacrificing a lot of the early game power that you do have with champions like a Caitlyn and a Jhin.
But here's the thing. If you do that Graves, you can combo this with a Rumble. You're most likely going to see a Nautilus out of the top lane from MD here. It makes a lot of sense here. You want a beefy front line, some heavy engage, control the pace of the game. But if you have the Rumble, if that's what H2K expects, you can just kill anybody from such a long range, never worry about engaging. You have end of the line, you have collateral damage, shock blast, just so much range and burst.
Looks like Lee Sin in for Karsa here, and now they are looking for their top lane pick. Wonder what that will end up being for these guys. I mean, it looks like Poppy has become, I mean, Nautilus maybe fits into it as well. Actually going to be the Poppy locked in here for MMD, so he's going to take the Poppy, and that will round out that Flash Wolves composition. What do you think the response is for H2K? Odoamne has that option for a Rumble. It does leave them kind of open in terms of no tanks.
There it is. Like, this is a common composition, right? The Jace with the Rumble, great combination. But when you're dealing with the likes of a Poppy against a lineup that is so heavy on the AD, anytime that Rumble is eliminated from the fight or just not there as early as you can, that Poppy's going to be unkillable. Poppy's way tankier than Nautilus. That W makes her just nearly unkillable, and so she's going to be really a tremendous threat. And even though MD had an okay landing phase on the Echo, he was able to do a lot of work towards the later stages of the game, which I expect him to do on this matchup as well.
All right, guys, I'm going to ask you for predictions and a quick round out about why you think those teams will win. I'm going to go to you first, Vedius.
My vote is actually going towards H2K. I think they've built a strong team fighting composition. I think that we've seen these games go extended, and I think that the Flash Wolves comp relies very much on early leads, which I'm yet to see them get.
I'm going with the Flashels in this one. I actually like what they do. They have a lot more engage, whereas H2K's is so fickle. It's something that we haven't seen them perform in the team fight stage, and I think Flashels will be able to stall it out or just fight with good engages.
Conflicting opinions. I like it. It makes it that much more spicy for the game. Gonna hand it over to our casters. It's gonna be Froskurin and Dracos. They're ready to take us through this final game of this semi-final, ready to decide who will go to the final.
Thank you very much, Scoundrel. Here we are, ladies and gentlemen, game 3. The hopes of all of Katowice, the hopes of much of Europe riding on the shoulders of H2K. Will we have the all-European final? Or will the thing standing in the way of European victory be the Flash Wolves as they move forward to take on G2?
And you know, the storyline of this tournament has really been about EU, but if we look across the other side, the LMS have a lot to prove here as well. This is, you know, it wasn't just the best teams of Europe sent to this tournament, it was also the best team of the LMS. You know, the Korean Killers, the Flash Wolves. There's a lot of pride riding back home as well. Even more so that they also don't have home turf advantage here.
Oh, definitely not. The crowd cheers for Jankos at each and every turn. Closer and closer to game 3. Flash Wolves once again on the blue side, H2K on the red.
And I know, we've been talking about junglers all day. It's Jankos, it's Karsa, it's going to come up, but I am so excited to see Nuclear get the Caitlyn pick. I'm tired of the Sivir. I understand Sivir right now, she empowers a lot of the champions that are strong in the ecosystem, you know, the Maokais, the Rises, things like that, but I feel like her range is just way too punishing. In a siege composition, I believe this is the best way to play League of Legends because you're not tethered to those 6-minute windows of the Baron fights, of the Dragon fights, and looking for the 5v5. You're relevant, you have pressure that much more consistently and that much longer on the map because you're always sieging structures. The problem is that they're incredibly difficult to execute. If you ever fumble your side vision, if you ever let someone get a side flank on you with the Poppy and the Lee Sin potential, you will be destroyed.
Not at that point yet, but it's terrifying for H2K, that team that has struggled to execute in the late game. But game 1, there were some back and forths, there were some objective fights, but they did siege. They did play slow and steady.
It puts so much pressure and responsibility on two key members for H2K, Che and Odo. Odo is your only long-range initiation. So if the poke goes down, if you like the team fight, it's up for the Rumble to say, okay, we can actually close the gap and go here. Che, if anything goes wrong on this Siege composition, it is up to him to hit that perfect Nami ultimate to disengage. And the issue is that these two pieces are rarely ever working together for H2K. They say it over and over domestically. You know, the bottom lane, Nuclear and Che, they've stepped up in their individual performances, but they're still not quite fitting together with the rest of the team.
Really going to be a struggle too, as you said. Sort of that issue, the synergy may not come through. If Odo wants to go in, if Che wants to go out, we could end up in a very awkward position. But on the other side, for Flash Wolves, they've got hard engaged. Karsa can make the plays. He's not restricted by the Graves. He's not just a source of damage. In fact, he's not really a source of damage anymore when we move to the late game. He is that initiator. He is the one who can dictate the start of those fights.
It's a much easier composition to execute because they have so many different win conditions about how they approach towers, start fights, disengage from fights. I mean, you have the disengage potential of the Karma speed up, of the Poppy disengage. You have the Ash Arrow, the Scatter the Weak. Even if Karsa wants to get funky and start looking for those sick insect plays.
Funky is a way to describe it.
You know, I was looking for other adjectives. We reached a little bit deep there.
He wants to aggress.
We're not aggressing onto anyone, please no.
Yanko's continuing to clear out the jungle. Junglers have been so key, and for Karsa last game, he was the reason H2K found a lead. We can't shy around that. 5 deaths over the course of that early game to the mid-game area. For now, though, Flash Wolves' bottom lane continues to pressure in, continues to push forward, but Che's still looking for the aggressive trades.
And the cool thing are the different identities of these bottom lanes kind of coming to a head. So you have the Ashe and the Karma, the ultimate push priority bottom lane, versus the Nami and the Caitlyn. And the thing is you can still maintain a pressure point if you don't control the minion wave. It just means that you have to win the trade war. Unfortunately, Betty and Sora are making that much more difficult because they have to fight across the creep wave. But if it gets neutral, if Che lands a nice bubble, because they have the sustain, Nuclear and Che could step up and try to take control back, but not if they keep eating Qs
for
like
now,
that.
they're taking so much damage. And the other issue, too, is Nuclear's gone for the very safe start. We see it somewhat infrequently from Jinx, but popularize it. Yeah, the boots start coming in. 4 pots makes it easy to sustain up. A lot more effective health, but a lot less effective damage.
And it also kind of indicates that they don't want to look for that trade priority that they possibly could get for, that it's just going to sit back, Nami, splash me with some Gatorade. I got the pots in the back pocket, we're fine.
I think you mean G Fuel, Frostcurrent.
Oh, sorry. 17 flavors.
Of course, for now, everything remains stalled out. So often we've seen pretty patient early games. I think we can call it for both teams. Although it's always been Flash Wolves pulling the trigger, and unfortunately in the first 2 games, it was Flash Wolves falling flat on their face when they did.
And that's not going to change this game. Not hopefully the falling flat
yeah,
on their face.
the pulling the trigger part.
The pulling the trigger part. Again, they've got the primary engage. They've got so many different ways to do it, which just means that H2K, I love the composition. I'm a big fan of them. But I'm a bit skeptical if they can pull it off. Jankos, though, is spotted out by the Scuttle Crab.
Moves out, Scryer's Bloom spots him.
He just confidently walked over it, too, so they know this is happening.
MMD is going to have to be careful here. Lee Sin continues to move to the bottom side of the map.
I feel like there's a lot more bravery, though, of kind of testing the Graves, look for these tower dives.
Oh, looking to go in onto Maple. Karsa's here, though. Febiven may have overstayed his welcome. He's running, he's trying to duck behind the creeps. Sonic Wave may come out, but Yanko's body blocks. Playing on the razor's edge there. Febiven so close to death.
Yeah, continuously stepping forward. It's nice to see, though, that in a tense series, Game 3, that Febiven still won't shy away, that he's going back to those old roots, that he will never just play passive.
Yeah, doesn't want to. Wants to find the lead, wants those early lethality items.
You just have to respect it, frankly. And, you know, a lot of players will frankly kind of bitch out, take the step back, play the Orianna, just do the wave clear, and Febiven has never been one of those players. And yeah, sometimes it can go wrong and it can swing a game wildly. That time around, he avoided it.
Dangerous place to be, though, when we look at it. He will get level 6 soon, but we talked about this while Champions League was going on, when the NSX was breaking this down. Syndra level 6 and Jace level 6 are 2 very different stories. Syndra has the pressure, the kill threat, and Febiven's already blown the flash. And yeah, Febiven has a ton of damage, but it's not really going to matchup with the unleashed power.
And it fits into how Flash Wolves like to play the game. So Che and Betty, they've got push priority in this lane. As soon as Syndra has 6, which Maple does now, you would expect that Che, Karsa, and Maple are going to start invading and contesting Jankos on his jungle.
Yep.
It's when Flash Wolves are successful, and we've seen it countless times throughout the tournament.
This is interesting. H2K pulling in Jankos, using him to try to clear out the waves, to try to get it back. And this means that Caitlyn now has the BF sword, will balance out a bit of damage, but it does also mean they're going to lose out on a little bit of farm here. 10 CS differential already stacked up between them, and it's going to remain that way as the creeps that Caitlyn wanted to get are taken down.
It's also that much harder when you do have the boot start. I mean, it doesn't seem like a big thing, but it makes CSing. It's just frustrating. A bit of a tilting
you spend 90% of your ADC career playing Doran's Blade. You take 1080 away, things get a little more difficult.
The Ashe respect. It kind of reminds me of the old school, you know, when Graves was an 80 carry, when everyone would start cloth
5.
Yeah.
And when Graves first got reworked and people still played Graves 80 carry, dark times. Now, thank God, he's relegated to the jungle.
Yeah, just thank God he's one of the most OP junglers right now.
It's scary. Scary to play against him. Jankos, though, hasn't found the opportunity to go in yet, and of course doesn't have the CC to really dictate ganks on his own, nor do most of his lanes. Kind of waiting for someone else to make a mistake. Odoamne stepping forward. No sight on MMD. Karsa can just ward hop over the wall. That's going to be it. Odoamne knocked in. Not going to get knocked to the wall, though. Karsa flash forward, looking to kick him out, but the equalizer goes down. Not quite where he wants it. Overheated.
Here comes
Silence. Jankos on the way in. Gonna go for more. Keeper's Verdict, sidestep from Jankos. He's moving forward, reloads the gun, steps forward, flashes in. He's too aggressive, not gonna get anything, blows the flash in the end.
So unfortunately, Odo does fall. Do want to commend him on his flash, though, by dodging the initial stun, but unfortunately, Jankos not there fast enough to save him.
Tough place to be. This time, Flash Wolves, they're dictating the pace and the plays are working out for them. It's small, it's first blood, but this has not happened for them yet.
And again, just to replay on this, Odo probably thought MMD was back because he was hiding in the brush right there, does flash the initial stun, and he's basically just trying to stall out long enough for Jankos to get here. But Karsa finds all the skill shots, gets the execute, and then Jankos does do a good job by burning 2 flashes.
Gets one back, or gets him back in exchange. Not what he wanted, maybe hoping to get a couple extra kills, hoping the end of line would connect. Find it in the end, but for now, play goes in favor of the side of Flash Wolves. Farms don't favor the Rumble, however, so he's not too concerned. But a kill going over to Lee Sin in the early game can be disastrous, especially with the playmaking potential of this Ashe. Level 6 for the bottom lanes. Shay not quite there yet, but...
And that's what you would expect, is that Karsa would take this power and then move it towards the bottom side of the map. It gets a bit dangerous, however, because while Odo was put behind being first blood, he's still the Rumble at level 7, and so it just, Flash Wolves have to be, you know, super confident that they get the perfect setup if they want to play bottom, because that equalizer can punish despite him being behind.
Gets it in the end, Karsa. Blue buff's perfectly hidden in the brush, just barely slips out on the knockback there, but now Flash Wolves, they're ready to migrate to the bottom side of the map.
In fact, taking a closer look at this, I don't even think Odo is behind. So a kill gold is worth about 13 creeps. He technically has that advantage on top of his laning opponent.
So yeah, the assist not going to mean enough here. Spectre's Cowl good to have, but as Odo starts to look for those penetration items, it's only going to get more difficult for this popular lane. And this is a pick we haven't gotten to see from Odo so frequently it's taken away, and now he's got it in his hands, but right now it's not about the top lane. The bottom lane pressure just continues to mount. That's so much damage onto Che. Nami healing's nice to have, but it's just not enough to deal with all this poke.
And don't mistake Jankos' presence there for being a gank on the bottom lane. He's literally just there to make sure that Karsa isn't and protect his bottom lane. Because they were such low health, he wouldn't be able to assist them anyway because they got chunked out. But this is a situation that's going to continue to bleed unless something happens.
Oh, slowly and surely the tower's getting whittled down. Nuclear doesn't have the wave clear, doesn't have the attack speed or the abilities to clear this out, and Karsa is here now too. It's like H2K may just have to concede the bottom side of the map. They don't have vision of this though. Karsa may just look to set up a gank.
They just suspect it, but they haven't seen it yet.
Moving, of course, the Tri-Brush is warded behind them, but when they spot Karsa, it may be too little too late. Nuclear's caught out. Let's get healed up. Shay steps forward. Betty taking a bit of damage. Lee Sin actually going to back off here. Not going to pull the trigger.
Hold on, Maple, though. Could catch Jankos.
Not going to land any scat of the week. Just going to use the force of the will. Not going to connect, but both junglers just hiding. Karsa waiting in Fog of War. Oh no. H2K bottom lane, have they gotten a little too confident? Shay's continuing to step forward.
Hold on though, because Roam here from H2K.
Yeah, Yanko's moves down. Same story for Febivin.
He's gonna get
Betty
behind
and
them.
Sword Art, here comes the wave. He has to flash out. No, they're gonna turn it. Shay goes pop. Febivin is there, but the exhaust is down. They want to grab Betty. Are they gonna be able to get both? Double TP started almost exactly at the same time. Karsa, he's waiting, looking for an opportunity. Equalizer goes down, but it's not hitting anybody. That's a massive fumble. Knocked up, knocked down. Keeper's verdict. They can't find anyone quite yet. They're trying to stop the setup. There's the force of will. Is Nuclear gonna be safe? Yes, in the end, he is.
And in the end, a 1-for-1 trade support for AD carry. That said, Febivin was the benefactor of one of those kills. Jace, anytime he can get ahead of the clock, can be incredibly punishing. We've seen this multiple times, usually eating a lot of target bans. So we'll see how confident Maple is to let this one go through and to have the power of Syndra.
He's not feeling too bad himself, has a small CS advantage. Febivin will neutralize, but we look at this again, and such a close play here.
And this is really Betty just turning on Shay, overstepping. Beautifully done with the arrow. The teleports come in at the same time, and the only problem is Nuclear presses himself right against the wall. So Poppy comes in and just blows him up, forces his flash. Lives with a sliver of HP, but not great to be flashless on your AD carry. And now there is an opportunity that perhaps Karsa will come back and try to punish that when the arrow cooldown comes off.
Interesting, they've already know that the bot lane tower is going to drop. H2K have now moved their bottom lane to the top side, but no, Che, don't position next to that wall. Backs off, Glass Cone knocks him back. MMD is here to defend, however, and I think H2K are still going to end up on the back end of this play. Not going to be able to get the pressure they need to take this one down.
No, but they do get the tempo because they made the lane swap first. So yeah, they lose bottom tower, but they actually have kind of a window here where they're trying to burn down the top in response. Fortunately for Flash Wolves, they've now got the correct assets up there, moving Sword Art, and so they absorb the potential play.
Does mean they're going to deny a little bit more farm to those two top laners. Odoamne happy to continue to grow that lead, as is Leandries as well, so not quite as comfortable behind that Spectre's cowl as he once was on the side of MMD. For now, Flash Wolves maintain a lead. Almost 2K in their favor, 14 minutes into the game, and things looking good for them so far.
And this is something that's interesting. You know, with the Flash, with the Ashe, with the Jhin, normally you just move that AD carry as soon as they're unlocked from the bottom lane. You look mid and you just throw an arrow. But Flash Wolves instead choosing to match Caitlyn and just follow her around, whereas teams with the Caitlyn's with Varus, hold that thought though.
Odo flashes to safety. It's gonna be all good.
Teams with the Caitlyn's with the Varus always have to make this rotation towards the top side or choose to push inner tower or even just match mid lane farm. So it's a bit of a slower pace game. But Flash Wolves technically have an opportunity to try to speed it up more so, especially with the burst potential of the Syndra by just sending Ashe mid, but they don't. And this may punish them.
Yeah, Che, essentially the one who's gonna get punished. Poke still very much in their favor. Che only really able to heal one target outside of combat. MMD and Odoamne continue to duel. They're left alone, but I think MMD may have overstayed his welcome here. Looking the Keeper's verdict, Odoamne right back out. Yankos, nice collateral damage to dodge out on the Scatter of the Weak. And there's small trades of cooldowns back and forth right now on the map, but no one's gonna bleed yet.
But this is such expensive real estate in this top river because again, Ashe and Karma will continuously have the push on Caitlyn and Nami, and they're just gonna continue to whittle down these structures. So who can ever get control of that river will apply pressure to whoever is brave enough to push forward. And this time around, Flash Wolves win out. And ultimately, it might mean that H2K lose their tower. Someone needs to come up there and help them.
TP's not quite up yet either, but Karsa's on the way. Febivin is behind the play, and Maple is moving forward.
And Jace has to go the long way around. He can't face check into the Syndra, and there's no vision right there.
Clear, kick doesn't connect. Sword Art locked up for now. Not a ton of damage coming out from Nuclear at this stage of the game.
And lack of defensive vision really punishing H2K because now Maple appears back in the mid lane. And so Febivin, all that time that he spent just trying to walk the long way around to help his bottom lane in the top side, now he just has to move back towards the mid lane.
At the end of the day, they hold on to the tower. They don't lose any members. Nothing is going to move in their favor on the side of Flash Wolves. 2K gold lead once again. They're still in the lead. They're still in control. They're still dictating the pace of this game. When can that change for Oscar?
They're dictating it, but they're not punishing it. So ultimately, they had this opportunity where, you know, they're kind of ripping Jace back and forth around the map, but they're not like sitting in a bush. They're not looking for a pick. They're not waiting for him to walk into them, or even just trying to deny farm by being patient and continuously pushing, so that like while Febiven's trying to move between mid and top, that he's like, you know, missing one creep, missing two creeps. They just back and reset.
And that's kind of something we've seen a lot from this series. One team being in the lead and just playing so very slowly out, not taking the more risky routes, just going for sort of the standard expected plays.
I mean, it makes sense because it's game 3, but someone needs to pull the trigger. It could be on this bottom side.
Yeah, looks like
just conservative tower trade.
Arrow's gonna go down.
Will it hit Febiven in mid?
Will it hit Yankos? Will it hit Odo? No, all right. Those are my favorite arrows, for the record.
I'm pretty sure there's like a random deer out that side of the map, so
Just got
maybe.
shot in the face. Yeah, that's pretty rough. Don't want to chain you the deers. Well, Flash Wolves continue to be in control, continue to extend, or rather maintain their gold advantage, but they are giving themselves a larger advantage in terms of map control. But H2K are going to get a nice little prize here for themselves. Mountain Drake. Could be good for them to have, but maybe tier 2 is set to fall here.
This is scary. Someone needs to be there to help Odo, and that someone is Che. So technically, Che is in the wrong position. They need to make something happen mid.
Oh, tower drops. Equalizer not enough to clear the waves. H2K losing a lot more than they bargained for there, but they're setting up in the mid lane.
But again, this puts the pressure. Something needs to happen for H2K now.
Maple trying to go forward. Yankos knocked back to the team. Che backing off. Jason, Caitlyn setting up the siege in the mid lane. Can they break the tower? They just don't have the creeps to do it. Maple's backing off, and the rest of the team is on the way already. I mean, this is Flash Wolves now dictating the pace on their terms. We saw them struggle with this. Games 1, game 2.
But that's such a clean call to push through right there because you had the creep waves around them. Hopefully H2K trade in mid tower. They got it.
All right.
So not all is lost. They got the Mountain Dragon, they got the mid tower. Super important. Helps them apply their deep vision. We talk about this all the time. Again, it's even more relevant now because of the nature of their composition. They need to be able to move deep into these jungles.
Of course, Caitlyn getting some more attack speed as well, which means it's going to be easier for her to set up in the side lane. Macy, Febiven move down. Jace, pretty solid split pusher. Mountain Drake next on the table.
Double Mountain for a siege comp. What more could you ask for? Nice thing also about Caitlyn into the Ashe, and why I like the pick coming out, because again, Flash Wolves will always go for the Ashe. They'll never leave the Ferris open, or they'll priority pick it, and they won't go towards Jhin. Betty's much more confident on this champion, and Caitlyn's itemization and her mid-game power trough, because she doesn't have a built-in steroid, isn't punished by an Ashe's itemization. It's not like the Jhins that get to build that lethality and get
where
those
every
instant
single
previous
item
spikes.
is a spike. Or the Varus, where the poke just becomes absurd. So very different AD carries coming out on this. Not quite the meta that we're used to.
It could mean that we have a hiatus here, although I feel like Yankos in particular might be looking to dive.
Maybe? I mean, Yankos moving to the top side. Odoamne has the equalizer. An immense amount of damage can come down, but it's, of course, very difficult to dive the Poppy, the Keeper's Verdict, to eject one member. And suddenly you're 1v1ing a Poppy under the tower. Not
It's kind
quite
of
where
like
you want to be.
if you have Caitlyn absorbing farm in the mid lane, if you've got Febiven just sitting back playing safe.
Febiven, there's a lot of balls in the bush. Febiven, he's getting popped. Karsa goes in, he grabs that one. We wanted to see Flash Wolves hide in the bush, punish Febiven for roaming. They're just going to punish him for farming on his own turf.
Yeah, loses track of the Syndra right there. That's going to be punishing at least some chip damage on the tower, or just more kill gold in Maple's pockets.
Yeah, not where you want to be. A lot of vulnerable members on the enemy team. You don't have the Ivern anymore. You don't have the luxury of all those crazy shields to stop the impact from the Syndra.
But what I was going to say is that because they have the Caitlyn and the Jace, they can actually absorb a lot of the pushing power of multiple members of Flash Wolves. So there technically was an opportunity that while it's a Poppy, and you never advise diving tanks, that you want to gank the teleport and you want to kill it. So that way you know exactly how much control you have over the rest of your map.
Yeah, I want to shut down that global. Want to limit the ability for MMD to find those teleport flanks, something he's struggled to do in the past, but also something that can be so crucial for this team comp that wants to find a way to engage. Despite the deficit, despite 3K down, Katowice remains fiercely in favor of H2K.
Here we go. Ping's going already onto the Baron.
21 minutes, there's damage threats across the board for both lineups. A Mountain Drake backs up H2K, and the dance begins again,
And
Cross
it's
Current.
much scarier this time around for H2K to face check blindly, however. Now, they do have a lot of tools in their composition where they could, you know, theoretically throw in the Jace keys, check if anyone's there.
I mean, last game they didn't have to face check blindly. They just put a bush inside of another bush and got vision. The
Bush.
beauty of that Ivern.
Exception. But all eyes really on Shay and how H2K are going to protect him and facilitate him to place this core vision. Now they are with him right now. Yanko's kind of leading the way, making sure that this Nami can move in uncontested. You can see it's very dark for Flash Wolves right now.
A little bit of vision means they're going to spot out Karsa. Don't know if they see Maple. They have to respect it. Are going to clear what vision they can. Rumble's down on the bottom side. Top laners matching up with each other. Both TPs up and available. Caitlyn with the Runaans means she can match now.
I feel like Rumble's been sitting on a single item for a long time.
Well, Cross Current, let us find out. 1,000 gold in the inventory.
Yeah, he hasn't bought in a while. Looking for the double penetration, the standard classic build on Rumble, but once he gets that, he will have a pretty decent size. Yeah, you like it when I say double penetration. I can see that smile.
That was a private smile. You were supposed to share that with the audience.
He's literally sitting next to me like,
yeah, so I have the humor of a 12-year-old. Don't judge me harshly. All right. Nuclear continues to push in. Baron continues to be the center of attention.
No, the important point is that Rumble has a good mid-game power spike. 2 points in ultimate, double penetration build, but Karsa.
Oh, that's a combo! Down drops Nuclear.
And that's the one thing that can't happen. You just have to be able to absorb it. Again, they have so much wave clear. The Caitlyn with the traps, she's got the Nami next to her. You can absorb, you know, 3 people in your lane as long as the initiation doesn't connect. So Nuclear steps forward.
Shay has to back up. MMD's threatening to dive at any moment into position next to the wall. And yet another advantage goes over to Flash Wolves. 3K gold in the lead. Dragon spawning quickly as well. We'll be able to grab that one. And that's that second mountain. Match up mountain to mountain if they do want to go for it.
They could still technically contest this. Again, this is exactly the type of arena that Rumble likes to be around. Likewise, Jace shooting blind into it. But getting there is a problem.
They have a bit of vision. They know this one's dropping. Will Odoamne throw down the ult? Looks like they're just waiting. Not quite comfortable going in. Featherman stepping forward. Can't imagine they'll try to steal it. Karsa does grab it in the end. Some hesitation there on the side of H2K, not looking to take any risks around that Dragon Pit.
And definitively making that call as a team. You know, yes, Odo was popping his head in there, but Jankos had committed himself to the other side of the map, so not even looking to contest for a steal.
H2K now moving into the bottom side of the map, laying down just a little bit of vision. See if they can figure out where the opposition is, and they're now beginning the siege onto the mid lane. They see Syndra on the top. They say this is time to pull the trigger.
But they have limited ability to pull the trigger.
Betty clearing out the wave so effectively. MMD looking to the flank. Oof, nice dash from Jankos. Don't want to get wallbanged there. Not where you want to be.
And again, so while they choose to be aggressive because they see Maple prepping the wave in the top lane, ultimately they don't get anything. They don't have the deep enough side vision. Yes, MMD came a flank from the bottom side and Jankos expertly dodged it, but they can't be that extended that long. And so Maple gets to set up this massive wave, which now it looks like Febiven has to clear for pretty much no trade.
Oh, Karsa goes over the wall, maybe just looking to fight Jankos. A lot of damage coming in from the Graves. Karsa, have you bit off a little bit more than you could chew? Built over Peacemaker, fired in a random direction, maybe hoping to outplay Karsa there. But Karsa clearly hungry for blood, clearly wants to make a play, knows that if he takes down the jungler, pretty easy for his team to set up that Baron.
And it's more important that they have control of this area. Again, so much pick potential. We talk about this all the time. H2K, they don't have the tanky comp. They can't face check this as well as they could last game. And against the Syndra, against an Ashe, they could be punished even harsher.
Scary place to be. Betty waiting in the wings.
All
Syndra on the top side.
Flash Wolves waves are prepped. I like the fact that they call the bluff and just immediately push it down mid.
Nice place to be. This will give them priority for a brief moment. MMD moves in though. The rest of Flash Wolves ready to respond. They have an arrow, but Jankos.
Who's gonna walk against the wall? Look at Maple behind, just secret agent.
Looking for the flank. We saw it from last game as well. Wasn't the play that worked out for him, but continuously looking to find a way into the backline. Wants to pop the more vulnerable members of this H2K lineup. Decent vision comes out. Control ward traded for the trinket. I mean, we're just dancing again, Frostgrun. We're dancing around the Baron. We're waiting for the vision setup.
And we're seeing a replay of a ward being killed. There we go. This is the
that's
replay
the
we
one.
wanted.
Bam!
The nice alley-oop into the Ash arrow.
That's what I love. I never miss Ash arrows. My Lee Sin didn't aggressively flash kick them into it. That was the problem.
You know, knowing the crowd's favoritism for the wards being cleared, I almost was 100%
Sure, it's like,
that it
all right, guys, it's a slow game. Let's bring it up. Let's bring it up. It's time to cheer for a ward going down. Oh, here it comes, audience.
a slow-mo replay.
I'm gonna regret encouraging that. Yeah, there's some. Oh, arrow goes in. Blocked by the Edge of Night, though. That's actually gonna be big for H2K. Can feel much more comfortable approaching in here.
But a very short cooldown for Ashe, and they still have multiple tools still left on that composition to start fights, so not as punishing as it could be.
Now at this point, Flash Wolves just doing their best to control the vision, H2K doing their best to cancel it out.
But Flash Wolves are doing a good job making sure that both the side waves are constantly pushing to H2K, and what that does is it kind of confines them to this area where, because they have to keep resetting their map, they don't get to spend their time together as a team placing vision. And it's just constantly going to be this cycle of force them to respond to a side wave, move into the priority area, clear out all of the vision, and it keeps H2K, like as this map goes darker and darker against the Syndra and Ashe, it keeps them in this tiny little cage.
Who is this better for? I mean, what are we waiting? Are we waiting for that Flash Wolves pick, or are we just going to continuously see this push back and forth? The
Siege composition is entirely reliant on having push priority and having vision. They need to know what they're firing into. Like, Baron is still incredibly scary for Flash Wolves to stack on top of because Febiven's a big deal, and it's fish in a barrel if you're in a tight little corridor, which is why Flash Wolves are being so conservative here, but someone is going to slip up and make a mistake, and right now, Flash Wolves have the priority on making the play. They have more tools and more power to do it. Again, this is the tiny cage. This Fog of War, that's the tiny cage H2K have to sit in. And it's just getting smaller and smaller.
Someone's going to have to face check soon. For now, it's Jankos. He's going to clear out a little bit of the vision. Push the walls of that cage out, at least a tiny amount.
He's pushed back so far that he's only got control of the little bush in front of his base.
It's the slow, steady choke out. This time it's vision. Not necessarily objective priority.
Don't stand next to...
Don't do it.
Oh, well.
They've learned. Remember, this was the big weakness of H2K.
They don't know.
Wanted to check the bush. Here's Otawamne, though.
Okay, patiently waiting, making sure that all 5 members are there. And again, it's H2K constantly calling Flash Wolves bluff by pushing mid. And what this does is it forces Flash Wolves out of their hole, so they have to reveal themselves from the Baron pit. But I feel like Flash Wolves at some point, you just rush the Baron.
Yeah, for now, though, they continue to push. The later we get, the easier it will be for them to take the Baron.
And you can see Maple running topside again, continuing to keep that top wave push in. You've got a big wave building on the bottom side of the map.
Now moving forward. Rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. I mean, is there this late game? Is late game Caitlyn going to be a massive threat here? Can we wait for that?
She always is a massive
I mean, yeah, the late game AD carry, that's what we hear. But I mean, is this okay for H2K to just continue to stall out, to continue to play this game? Who is this better for in the end when it comes to late game scaling?
I feel like Flash Wolves have a better, well-rounded comp, but again, it'll always come down to execution. I know that's a cop-out answer, and that's not what you want to hear. But there's so many tools to play it either way. Again, it comes down to responsibility. Can Odo lay down a nice equalizer? Can Che find the correct disengage to keep his siege composition from surviving the initial burst and the initial rotation from Syndra? Or will MMD, Maple, or Betty just get a hold of them?
That's something that's good that you bring Otawamne up, because when we talk about shutting down Flash Wolves as a lineup, we saw kind of the weakest point for this team, otherwise very strong players, is MMD. He has struggled. He has been late on the TPs. I struggled with English
It's only in the context against Odo, though, just because he is such a highly respected and a very good top laner from Europe. Like, it says something about the strength of Flash Wolves' lineup if the weakest member is MMD, just because he has been performing well this tournament. Odo, a bit less consistent. You know, sometimes his teleports, sometimes his plays are incredible, and sometimes he's just slightly late to the play. Is on the comfort champion of the Rumble. We've seen it continuously banned from him throughout the entire tournament. So, I mean, he's feared on this champion for a reason.
Very true. Haven't seen it really come to fruition, though. There's been 2 or 3 equalizers that haven't quite hit the mark.
But they've got the push priority this time around. They've got the inside track. This is exactly where the composition wants to be.
They're just definitely going to be able to break this down. But now Flashers are set up to find the flank. Bevin locked up. Trap stops MMD from going into Nuclear, starting to hit hard. MMD potentially in trouble. He's in the hole to dish it out.
And they keep tempo priority. Now that said, MMD does have teleport, which is why H2K are backing up. They don't want to continue to push this because it's just waiting for Poppy to find a deep ward and run up behind them with home guard.
Oh, H2K, the arena has been set. They're ready for the fight. They're ready to go in, but it's Bevin who's going to get locked up. That's a lot of damage, but he manages to live. Karsa goes in to find the kill. Equalizer to look for the disengage. Karsa gives his life. There's MMD on the backside. Che could go down. He flashes over the wall. Nuclear gets knocked up. Maple's looking for the damage. Nuclear knocked back. He's still alive for now. Oh, it connects. Nuclear set to fall. They don't get him. They get him in the end. Odoamne moving forward. This is bad news for H2K. Flash Wolves take the fight.
And they disengage, but not far enough. We talked about the deep teleport potential from MMD to turn it around. Yes, it wasn't what started it, but it was what finished it. Flash Wolves now going to take this tower.
It'll be all too easy for them to break it down. Will they look for one more? Because Poppy's already pushing on the top side. The pressure is split. Where will the attention go? Lonely little Che and Jankos trying to make this happen, trying to stop them from breaking the base, but Flash Wolves are in. They're looking for the inhibitor. They may look for the top tower as well, and a single mistake from the side of the H2K is disaster. Jankos takes a lot of damage. Maple can't find the kill quite yet, but here comes Febvin. Can he be the hero the team needs? Can he shut them down? Shock Blast doesn't connect. Maple looking for the disengage. Betty's all on his lonesome, but the arrow goes in. Jankos is caught up. That's the turn. One's gonna drop Che, potentially next to follow. Flash Wolves just backing off though. No blood in their eyes yet.
But with Jankos dead for 40 seconds, it means that the Baron will be uncontested for the smite. You would imagine that Flash Wolves will collapse on it. But that said, red side Jace can punish Baron. Vision or no vision, which is why MMT is trying to keep tabs on Febvin.
Odoamne's going forward, he has the equalizer. Dragon's getting knocked down, Maple does a ton of damage, but he's gonna get popped. Is this the turning point? Equalizer goes
Good
in the
equalizer.
pit. That is solid play coming in. Febvin wants to throw the shock blast. MMD's all alone on the backside. They're backing up, they're looking to get the peel. There goes the tidal wave, knocks up Betty. Karsa's next on the menu. Kick back, taken down, double kill for H2K.
And Flash Wolves overreach right there. Instead of resetting, spending their gold out of all of the global objectives that they had just picked up, they instead go towards the Baron. They weren't stronger than H2K right there, but they will be on their next respawn.
H2K hesitating though, they don't want to start the Baron quite yet, but Flash Wolves are already backed out. If they hesitate here, will Flash Wolves be able to contest? Jankos moves into the pit, they're starting it up, they're knocking it down.
And again, they have to do it. Not only do they have the death timer on Karsa, so if the smite is uncontested, but again, they know that when Flash Wolves come back up, they're gonna get all of that gold from all of the structures that they had just taken down. They get the Baron, this buys them enough time to catch up with that difference.
And this is the poke comp that you never want to play against powered up with Baron. You do not want to be trapped under that tower, afraid for your life as the poke flies in fast and furious.
But the question is, will H2K be brave enough, and can they actually siege with it? They're still missing that inhib in the mid lane. Taking a look at this is the Febvin show. We talked about it. Jace can be incredibly punishing from red side, and unfortunately for Flash Wolves, MMD doesn't find him and doesn't zone him out. He finds Maple, he pops them. Great shock calling from H2K as they immediately turn on Poppy as soon as she oversteps, and then Karsa just the cherry on top.
So good to have. Taking down the jungler guarantees the Baron. Slow and steady now coming out from H2K. They got the Baron, they're buying time. But now they're gonna set up in this mid lane and they're looking to siege.
And this is smart, using the Baron in the mid wave to contest the super creeps. So the question I had, will they be passive? Will they step back and just absorb 4 minutes, 30 seconds with Baron, or will they try to play aggressive?
This is triple 80 threats here. They can cut through a tower quick. Odoamne's on the top side though, making sure there's split pressure.
Just need to watch that Poppy. They have great vision in between top and mid lane right now. MMD doesn't have teleport, but it will be up soon.
He's only level 15 to the level 18 of Odoamne.
But check out these deep wards. There's one in River as well as one underneath Baron. Those could be potential points of contact for MMD should Flash Wolves get antsy.
I want to look forward. MMD's backing off. Maybe he's looking for that flank.
I say you sack that tower and look for those TPs.
Oh, they got a wave pushing on the bottom side too. Both teams are going to have to make decisive calls. They want to keep this one going. Otoamne's call is to go onto that tower. Not overheating quite yet, just wants to cut that one down. Poppy's backing off.
Frankly, I think it's the wrong call. Again, sack the towers. They should have traded inner for the teleport, but they didn't, and now it's a bigger priority. Do I trade my in-hit tower possibly for a teleport, and what if it doesn't work out?
And they can't even go forward. They land the stun on the Yankos, but they can't find the follow-up. They can't risk going through the trap line, getting two-shot by Nuclear as he approaches the 4-item point. Double Edge of Night just makes it that much easier to siege as well. But now it's Karsa looking to find the flank.
Yeah, if MMD now can't pull the trigger on TP for fear of losing his inhibitor, Karsa can find the insec.
Needs to kick someone in the team. Is it Fevivin? Is it Nuclear? Who can he find? Right now it's going to be Yankos. He's kicked back. Maple set to take him down. Yankos is going to fall. That's a good start for Flash Wolves.
And it's important that only one ultimate was used. Maple and Betty still have their ults, so H2K, they waved the white flag, they're backing off.
Elder Dragon now on the table. Flash Wolves with the advantage for 44 seconds. Maybe more, depending on how long Yankos can take to get to the pit. But Fevivin, he's setting up. He knows there's no vision there. He wants to make a pick for himself.
He'll probably find Che. Now, he knows that Karma wants to start migrating towards the Elder Drake, placing vision defensively in her own jungle. So will Flash Wolves do this correctly? And yes, they wait for Karsa to lead the way.
Moving forward. Fevivin on the side. Fevivin
Suddenly, Febivin's out of position.
dancing with the bush there. They're weaving back and forth. Maple, you saw, threw down the Dark Sphere before moving forward. We'll be safe there for now. Both mid laners really just want to blow the other one up as fast as possible. Inhibitor in the mid lane responds. That's good for the push of H2K. We'll stop the super minion onslaught, but Otoamne just continues to ignore the Poppy here. Che's backing him up as well. They're looking to trade Elder Dragon for the mid inhib. Nuclear's here too. This could be a disaster. MMD misses. That is not good. There's no empowered recall here. But H2K, they're just going to take the tower and look to back off.
Meanwhile, they trade their tower for a dragon, so a huge misplay from Flash Wolves.
They have the window, though. The Elder Dragon will power them up. It'll make those fights stronger. The pick's even more potent, but it's a small window, Frostguard. It's not a lot of time to make something happen with that advantage.
But the thing is they have to fight them. Like, the Elder Dragon only empowers you if you're using it, and the siege composition can just stay away from them and can wave clear safely.
Ugh.
There's no reason to check into that bush. Don't do it.
Maple, I mean, this is the tendency we said about H2K. They face check the brush, and Maple's just waiting.
He's like,
He says there's no cost. I don't need to be anywhere else. And if I'm right here and they make a mistake.
he's also waiting for the wave to push, so why he thinks someone's going to come over there
Yankos!
is to place vision so that they can walk up to this tower because the wave will crash onto it bottom.
At the end of the day, though, Yankos makes it out. That Syndra ult down. It's going to make it much harder for them to force any fights, but Flash Wolves are putting on the split pressure.
But this is fine. Just wait out the Elder. You have so much wave clear on a Jace, on a Caitlyn, on a Rumble even.
You just can't approach that tower. There's too many traps. There's no way you're making it in there without insanely aggressive play.
And even worst case scenario, just sack it in here. Let it go. Don't fight over it. It's the difference between living to fight another day and losing the game and the series right then and there.
Yeah. One of the few times we said H2K don't take the aggressive play. Please do not get aggressive here.
If they find a numbers advantage, though.
Otoamne cracks the elixir. He's ready for a fight if it has to be that way. Equalizer up. Rank 3. Lots of damage coming in from that Rumble.
Can H2K weather the storm of Elder? I think they can.
Yep. Looking pretty good.
This is also why I really like these compositions. Again, super hard to execute, but they are so frustrating. They almost require you to have Baron to break them unless someone mispositions. Because even if you find one pick, unlike the Caitlyn, you still have to deal with the Jace.
Now, where do you want to be? Of course, moving forward. Flash will continue to apply pressure, but see, Dragon buff slowly ticking down, starting to fade away. Now falling off. Suddenly, H2K much more content to peek their head out of that base, much more willing to try and find a fight. But the vision the Flash Wolves have built, not going to feel comfortable moving into that jungle quite yet. Baron 35 seconds away.
At this point, H2K shove out reset their waves, make sure that they get at least one ward on the Baron. Again, it's red side Jace. He can approach that, do so much damage over the Baron wall without putting himself in any real danger. It's what stopped Baron the last time and pretty much earned it back for H2K to keep them in this game. Certainly, Flash Wolves don't want to make that mistake again.
Hawkshot comes out, wants to make sure they see every member of the H2K lineup before they try to pick any kind of fight. Have to be careful walking through those chokes, though. Baron's up, Baron available. Flash Wolves look like they're just going to start it up.
But the ward is behind the Baron's head, so they know this is happening.
Laid down, Otawamne knocked out of the fight, though. That's big. That's an opportunity. Baron's going to get taken down in the favor of Flash Wolves. Can they disengage? Can they make it out? It's like the answer is yes. Nice ulti coming in from MMD.
We may have a race, however.
They're running top, but the decision is split. There's 3 members on the top side. There's an open inhibitor. H2K are moving forward. They have the poke comp, they have the siege, they have triple 80 threats. Flash Wolves back off in the end.
But this is the smart decision. So they know that the Baron creep is coming in, so there's no point to try to siege that. Ultimately, by calling Flash Wolves' bluff, by stepping forward, they eat a lot of the time of the Baron. Flash Wolves were already ready to rotate top with the waiting wave and then shove down Inhib. It seems small, but if they do survive this Baron, that play can mean the difference.
However, at the end of the day, this is what we're talking about, Frostgarden. This is what Flash Wolves' composition needed to break the base. They have the Baron now. They are in the lead, 5,000 gold.
The question now becomes, what do H2K give up? Will they give away 2 inhibs and just try to stand on the Nexus turret? Or will they try to contest a 5v5? You have the engage
onto
tools.
Odo, arrow. Oh, Zhonya's dodge out through it. I mean, this is it. This is the fight we're waiting.
Check out where MMD is, applying split push pressure bottom side. So Flash Wolves are here only for the inhib.
Now backing off. No real tools for engage on the side of H2K, only the soft engage of the equalizer. MMD forced away, only 1 inhib given up so far. The Baron empowered creeps just chipping it away. Double cannons, cutting it down. That one is going to fall in the end. Chipped away slowly but surely.
Yeah, and there's nothing Rumble can really do to help defend against a double-stacked, Baroned up cannon wave. So unfortunately, the inhib tower does fall, and H2K continuing to bleed. Flash Wolves just trying to smother their base with minions.
Cutting it down. Betty's got plenty of range to approach that. It's dark times for H2K, and it's looking nice for Flash Wolves. Could be the slow, systematic close coming in from them. They've broken 2 inhibitors. They're looking to break a 3rd.
You would imagine in game 3 of a series, a chance at the finals, you don't want to risk it over a sloppy engage.
Febiven. Willing to risk the 1v1 though, if Maple will give him the opportunity. Confident he can win out. Pressure just continues to mount for H2K. They're gonna have to make a decision at some point.
Which means all eyes are on Odo. Again, he's your primary engage. If H2K decide to make a stand, it starts with him. On the other side, it's all about Betty and Maple.
Well, Betty moving forward for now. Trading autos. Slowly they're bleeding out. Triple inhibitors. This is how Flash Wolves fell. Will it be how H2K fall in game 3? They're holding on. No Baron left. No Elder Dragon. Katowice doesn't care. They're standing behind the hometown heroes.
Can H2K go the distance? The Baron soon to fall off here from Flash Wolves, just a sliver of it left. They haven't broken the Nexus turrets, and again, with the wave clear of Caitlyn, Jace, and Graves, they can contest with these 3 pushing waves, but they do give up the rest of their map. Ultimately, though, there's not much left to take on it.
It's just hard. We talk about H2K in the late game, struggling in team fighting. H2K struggling when it comes to face checking brushes. They're gonna need to win a team fight. They're gonna have to face check some brushes. They're gonna have to overcome every weakness that we've seen so far if they want to take a game off the Flash Wolves.
But Flash Wolves also need to be decisive here and confident and say, is this a high reward, low risk option to choose a 5v5? If we lose the 5v5, can H2K just run it back and end the game?
I honestly think we're at that point. I mean, you look at triple AD threats. Towers, nothing.
Yeah, but if you take out, the Jace and the Caitlyn, and it's just the Graves left, is it enough to try to take that gamble that you lose or end the game? Or do you just continue to apply pressure, try to fight with the creeps?
They're fighting with the creeps now, moving forward what could be the final fight. They've got all the space in the world. It's going to be so hard to land the equalizer. Massive engage there, but Maple standing right on top of the equalizer. They want to burn it down. They want to cut him down. They're flashing out to safety. Keeper's Verdict not going to connect, but so much damage coming in with Maple. He's single-handedly forcing H2K back while Benny cuts through the towers. They need to find a fight, but hope is going down. Oh no, H2K have fallen at the hands of the Flash Wolves, and they move into the finals to face G2.
Confident, clean closeout from Flash Wolves. They didn't look to risk it on the engage. They fought with the creeps. They stood strong with triple inhib down and just slowly walk H2K's Nexus down.
And the one thing H2K couldn't afford to give up, the Baron falls in the favor of Flashwood. So too falls the game. Katowice is unconcerned. Support remains in favor of Jankos. Had some beautiful performances. Hugs Karsa, 2 top contenders for junglers at this tournament.
And what a privilege to get to see talents like Jankos and Karsa face off head-to-head in the jungle. Unfortunately for the home crowd and H2K fans, it will be the Flash Wolves heading into the finals. Very well-deserved and very clean closeout on the end game.
Yeah, all comes down now to Europe versus the LMS. #1 versus #1.
Little preview for some future international play, possibly.
Unless they both get #1 seed, in which case they can't play against each other.
That's fine.
Not in groups, at least.
That said, you have to then look at this. Flash Wolves going from playing a series, very long games, very tense, directly into a final. Meanwhile, G2 have been sitting backstage watching all of this, getting to pick apart and dissect exactly what Flash Wolves are doing. Do they have anything left in the tank for the final to pull out, or have they shown all of their cards and have G2 found a place to splinter them?
Is there a weakness that we didn't see as casters, that we didn't notice? Flash Wolves in the end
There was a lot
of
weaknesses.
A lot of weaknesses. Wasn't the cleanest series. Very back and forth. Flash Wolves pretty clean in the end. We are now setting up on stage for an interview, but it will be just a minute out or 2. Is that Flash Wolves or Jankos? Oh, that's Jankos. See him now going onto the stage.
And all throughout this tournament, Europe have had stellar individual performances. You look at someone like Jankos, like Featherman, and despite the losses, it's a well-deserved round of applause.
Yeah, and this is what I love to see. At the end of the day, Jankos played his heart out. He didn't find the win. And so many fans, quick to criticize, quick to turn against. A disappointment announced for them. So all of Poland, all of Katowice standing for cheers, for a round of applause for Jankos.
But there is nothing to be disappointed in losing to the first place LMS team. The LMS continually comes forward as a region, is continually a powerhouse and a threat to be respected. H2K made a very deep run in this tournament, and they should be proud of that.
Yeah, it started rough, right? Getting knocked down to the loser bracket, losing a game to Hong Kong Esports, but coming back, taking it to 3 games against Flash Wolves, so close to victory. Game 2. Not quite enough in the end, and Flash Wolves will move on to the finals. Good to see overall. However, it looks like we are just about ready for our interview on stage. OJ Borg standing by with Sword Art from the victorious Flash Wolves.
Well, that was pretty goddamn epic, wasn't it? A fabulous another series here at the Intel Extreme Masters. Talk me through that, because in the second game, it looked like you'd lost it.
就能不能说一下你们刚才那几场比赛什么感受？因为那个第2场的时候，就好像你们会输，可是你们最后是翻盘赢了回来。
在第2场的话，我觉得我们上路 AND 的发挥特别好吧。他的艾克就是成功让我们在逆风的时候有一个突破口这样。然后在最后一个中路会战的时候，也是他打得很好，我们才会赢。
So he said he was giving all the credit to their top laner MMD on that echo. He said during that game too, it was really MMD's a great performance, especially over in the mid lane towards the end. That was what allowed them to break through and come back and win that game.
Let's talk grand final. That's what will happen here at the Intel Extreme Masters for that trophy over there. How do you approach taking on G2?
那你们对下一场的比赛如何？就因为你们待会儿是要打 G2 吗？
虽然说我们一开始在小组赛的时候有赢他们，但是我觉得他们在这段时间内一定有加强很多，所以我们一定不能掉以轻心。
He said that even though when they played G2 previously, they won them, but he said that he thinks G2 has since then gotten so much stronger, so they're definitely not going to go into that match thinking lightly of G2.
Well, not going in lightly, but he's going in as the favourite and the rest of the Flash Wolves. Is that a lot of pressure?
就大家都认为你们闪电狼这次会赢嘛，所以能不能说一下这有没有给你们添了什么压力？
我觉得应该还好，因为我们就是尽力去打好每一场比赛，并不会因为外界说什么而影响到我们的发挥。
He said he doesn't think that they really have a lot of added pressure. He said that usually what they do is they just want to try their best to win every single match, and they won't really care about like what online or what other people say.
Fabulous. Thank you very much. A fantastic interview, a fantastic game, and great translating as well. Thank you, Jenny. Sword Art and the rest of the Flash Wolves, they go through to the grand final, which is what is coming up in the near future, and we shall do, just after this break, the MVP, the G Fuel MVP, after this break.